Virgo, stop what you're doing right now. Put everything down. Close whatever tab you had open. Set down whatever you were holding. Because what I'm about to reveal to you is going to reframe everything you've been feeling lately, every moment of self doubt, every quiet wondering if people actually see you, every time you questioned whether any of it was worth it. Every night you lay awake wondering if you were invisible to the very people who should have been paying attention. You were not invisible. You were being watched more carefully than you knew. And what was just admitted out loud to other people in a conversation you weren't part of is about to change the entire energy of your season. Somebody just admitted something out loud to someone else, and the ripple it created in your energy field is so strong. I felt it the moment I sat down with your cards today. People are losing their composure over what was said. Some of them are shocked. Some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them are quietly relieved that someone finally said what they'd all been thinking. Because what was admitted about you, it changes things. It shifts the dynamic. It redraws the map of how people see you, how they talk about you, and what they now believe is possible between them and you. And it explains so much about the energy that's been swirling around you lately. That feeling of something building, that sense of being on the edge of something without being able to name what. That inexplicable combination of anticipation and anxiety that's been sitting in your chest for weeks now. That's not random, Virgo. That's you picking up on a frequency, a conversation, a shift, a tide turning that you couldn't see yet but could absolutely feel. Well, now I'm going to show you what you've been feeling. Before we go deeper, if this is landing in your chest right now, if you know in your soul that you clicked on this video for a reason, if something in you said yes before your mind had time to argue, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word seen in the comments right now. Because that's what this reading is about: being seen, being known, having the truth about who you are finally spoken out loud by someone who maybe fought against saying it for longer than they should have. Your comment isn't just engagement, it's you telling the universe, I'm ready to receive what's been moving toward me. I'm ready to stop being the best kept secret in the room. Okay, let's get into the cards because Spirit has been waiting to tell you this. The first card, the Sun. The first card flew out before I even finished shuffling. And Virgo, it's the Sunday. Look at this card. A child riding a white horse, arms spread wide, sunflowers towering behind them, a great golden sun blazing in the sky overhead. Everything about this card is radiance. Undeniable, impossible to ignore, fills the entire room radiance. The kind of light that doesn't ask for permission. The kind of warmth that people feel before they can explain why. And what Spirit is telling me through this card is that what was admitted about you is rooted in exactly this energy, your light, the specific, particular, completely individual quality of light that you carry, that you've always carried, even when you tried to dim it, even when circumstances made it feel dangerous to shine, even when people around you made it clear that your brightness made them uncomfortable. Somebody finally said it out loud. They admitted that you are exceptional, not in a vague, polite, obligatory way. Not the kind of thing you say to be nice at a birthday dinner. In a specific, personal, slightly painful for them to say way. because admitting this cost them something. Maybe it cost them their pride. Maybe it cost them the comfortable story they'd been telling themselves about you, the one that kept them from having to fully reckon with what they felt. Maybe it meant acknowledging that they underestimated you, overlooked you, dismissed you, or failed to appreciate you when they had every opportunity to do so and chose not to. And here's what's making people lose their mind over it when they said it. Others in that conversation realized they felt the same way. And suddenly, there's this collective recognition happening around you in spaces you're not even in. People comparing notes. People saying, I always thought so too. People saying, I knew it. I always knew it. People waking up to something about you that was always true but is only now being spoken into the open air where it belongs. You didn't change, Virgo. The conversation around you did. And that distinction matters enormously because you've probably been tempted in your quieter moments, in your more exhausted moments, to wonder if you needed to change, to wonder if you needed to be louder, more visible, more strategic about how you presented yourself to the world. And the answer that's coming through these cards today is a clear and definitive no. You didn't need to change. You needed people to finally catch up to who you already were. And they're catching up now. The second card, the King of Cups. The second card. And this one tells me who said it. Who is the person whose admission has sent ripples through your energy field and through the lives of everyone who heard it? The King of Cups appeared face up, steady, and absolutely clear. This is someone who does not speak easily about their feeling. Someone who has trained themselves, maybe over years, maybe over a lifetime, maybe because of things that happened to them long before you entered the picture, to keep what they feel private, contained, managed behind a very composed exterior. This is not someone who makes admissions lightly. This is not someone who says vulnerable things casually in passing without having sat with them for a long time first, which is exactly why what they said landed so hard on the people who heard it. Because everyone who knows this person, and you know this person, Virgo, you know exactly who carries this energy in your life. Everyone who knows them understands that when they say something like this, when they open that door even slightly, they mean it completely. There is no performance in it, no strategy, no attempt to manage an impression. Just truth that finally got too heavy to keep holding in private. And what I'm getting about this person specifically, there is history between you. Not necessarily romantic, though for many of you watching it, absolutely is romantic, and the romantic layer of this reading goes deep. But history in the deeper sense, shared time, shared experience, a connection that went through something, a distance, a silence, um, a misunderstanding, a separation of some kind, a period where things between you were unclear or painful or simply suspended and came out the other side, fundamentally changed. This person watched you from that distance, from whatever space opened up between you. And what they saw you do during that time, how you carried yourself without falling apart, how you kept going when there was no guarantee anything would work out, how you showed up with integrity and consistency, even when the situation gave you every excuse not to. It moved something in them that they could no longer keep quiet about. They had a conversation, and your name came out of their mouth with a weight and a softness that surprised even them. You could hear it in their voice, the slight pause before they said it, the particular quality of the silence that followed. The people in that conversation felt it, and it set something in motion that you're about to feel on your end. For some of you, your name came out of their mouth with a tenderness that they didn't plan for, that arrived of its own accord and caught them off guard. And that unplanned tenderness, that involuntary softness, that's the most honest thing they've ever said about you. Maybe the most honest thing they've said about anything in a long time. The third card, the Eight of Cups. The third card. And this is the one that tells me where you've been while all of this was happening without your knowledge. What your interior landscape has looked like during the weeks when this admission was building toward the surface in someone else's life. The Eight of Cups appeared. And I want to describe this card carefully because what it shows about you right now is important. A figure walking away, cloaked and quiet, moving toward distant mountains in the blue darkness of night, leaving behind 8 carefully arranged cups. The cups aren't broken. They aren't knocked over or scattered. They're stacked neatly, deliberately, as though the person leaving took time to arrange them properly before they walked away. There's no drama in this image. No explosion, no confrontation, no grand exit. Just someone who quietly, privately, clearly decided that something wasn't serving them anymore and walked away from it with their dignity fully intact. Virgo, this is you in recent weeks, maybe recent months. You've been in a quiet withdrawal. And I want to be precise about what I mean by that because it's not what it might sound like. This isn't depression. This isn't giving up. This isn't defeat wearing the costume of peace. This is discernment. Deliberate, intelligent, hard-won discernment about where your energy belongs and where it doesn't. You've been pulling back, spending more time alone or with very few carefully chosen people, letting the noise of certain situations fade, allowing relationships and dynamics that had been taking without giving to simply exhaust themselves without your continued investment. You stopped chasing, you stopped over-explaining, you stopped working so hard to be understood by people who had decided not to understand you. And it felt lonely sometimes. I want to acknowledge that. The Eight of Cups is a card of necessary departure, but it is not a painless one. You knew what you were walking away from. You felt the weight of it even as you knew the walking away was right. But here's what Spirit is showing me about that withdrawal. Here's the thing that reframes all of it. It's exactly what created the conditions for this admission to happen. When you stopped performing for people, when you stopped managing their perception of you, when you stopped showing up in spaces where you weren't being valued and hoping that your continued presence would eventually change how you were treated, that's when the change actually came. Not because you forced it, because you stopped preventing it by working so hard to hold everything together. Your stepping back made people step forward. Your silence made people start talking, and this time the talking is in your favor. The energy you stopped pouring into the wrong places pooled, it gathered, it became something visible and undeniable. And the person who made this admission, they felt that shift. They felt you becoming less available, less present, less willing to absorb their ambivalence. And something in them that had been comfortable being ambivalent suddenly became very uncomfortable. That discomfort is what produced the admission. You didn't manufacture it. You simply stopped making it easy to ignore. The fourth card, the Ace of Wands. The fourth card. What this admission opens, what comes next, what the door looks like that is swinging open in your life right now as a direct result of what was said. The Ace of Wands shot out of the deck and landed upright, a hand emerging from a cloud, holding a living branch, not a dead stick, not a symbol, a living branch with leaves bursting from it in real time. A castle visible in the distance, mountains beyond that, a horizon that goes further than the eye can follow. Everything about this card is beginning, pure beginning, the specific electric feeling of something that has been compressed and contained and held back, finally being given permission to start. The Ace of Wands is not a card of what might happen, it's a card of ignition, of something already catching. What this admission opens for you is not small. I want to say that clearly because Virgo's tendency, and you know this about yourself, is to receive good news and immediately start qualifying it, to feel the warmth of a positive development and simultaneously begin cataloging the reasons it might not mean what it seems to mean. To protect yourself from disappointment by preemptively deciding that the thing isn't as significant as it feels. Do not do that with this. What this opens is significant. And let me tell you how it lands for different people watching. For some of you, this is a relationship that has been undefined, finally moving into definition. A conversation that has been circling the truth for months, finally landing on it. A connection that both people knew was more than what it was being called, finally being called what it actually is. An admission that opens the door to something being chosen clearly, openly, without the fog of uncertainty that has been exhausting you both. For others of you, this is professional. The admission that was made about you reaches someone with the ability to act on it. Your name gets said in a room that you've been trying to get into. An opportunity surfaces with your specific capabilities written into its requirements so precisely that it feels less like luck and more like inevitability. A collaboration is proposed. A door opens in a direction you didn't even know to look. For some of you, it's both simultaneously, the romantic and the professional intertwining in ways that feel almost too perfectly coordinated. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when your energy aligns, when who you are in your personal life and who you are in your professional life stop being at war with each other and start reinforcing each other. The Ace of Wands doesn't distinguish between domains. It just shows where life is igniting. And right now, it's igniting in multiple places at once. For all of you, what this card is saying most fundamentally is this: the waiting phase is ending. Not gradually, not incrementally, not in the slow and barely perceptible way that change usually moves. With the energy of a spark catching, with the quality of something that was dormant suddenly and unmistakably alive. The fifth card, the Hierophant reversed. A fifth card came forward and I couldn't ignore it. The Hierophant reversed. Normally, the Hierophant represents tradition, structure, established systems, the way things have always been done, the rules of the institution, the conventional path. Reversed, it means something different and something that is extremely specific to your situation right now. It means you are being released from a definition that was never yours. Someone else's idea of who you are, someone else's version of your story, someone else's category for you, someone else's insistence on seeing you through the lens of who you were rather than who you've become, that definition is losing its hold. The admission that was made cracked it, because once someone who was invested in the old version of you publicly acknowledges the new one, the old version becomes harder and harder for anyone to maintain. The Hierophant reversed is telling you that this is a moment of redefinition, not the kind you engineer or announce or argue for, the kind that simply happens because truth has become more visible than the alternative. You are being seen accurately, maybe for the first time by some people, maybe for the first time in a long time by others. And the disorientation that some people in your life are feeling right now, and the losing their mind quality that the title of this reading names. That's what happens when the story they'd been telling about you stops matching the evidence in front of them. When they can no longer reconcile the version of you they'd constructed with the version of you that keeps showing up undeniably in full color, refusing to be reduced. Their disorientation is not your problem to solve. It's simply the natural consequence of being more than what people decided you were. The final card, the world, the last card, the seal on everything I've told you today, the world appeared. And Virgo, take a breath. Because this card doesn't show up at the end of a reading unless something is genuinely, completely, irreversibly completing. A figure dancing in the center of a laurel wreath, surrounded by the four elements, holding two wands, one in each hand, looking simultaneously backward and forward. The wreath is bound at the top and bottom with red ribbon. The shape it makes is the shape of completion, of a circle closing without loss, of an ending that is also unmistakably a beginning. What Spirit is telling me through this final card is that the version of you who needed external validation to feel certain of your worth, that version is completing her journey right now. She did what she came to do. She held on when holding on was genuinely hard. She kept showing up with integrity when integrity felt like it cost more than it returned. She stayed true to herself in moments when being true to herself meant being alone in it. And now the external world is beginning to reflect back what she always deserved. The admission was the first wave. It will not be the last. What's coming is a sustained period of recognition, not the flashy, sudden, overnight kind, but the deep and lasting kind that builds a foundation instead of just a moment. People stepping forward, doors opening, things being named that should have been named before, opportunities arriving that are so specifically suited to who you actually are that they feel designed for you because, in the most important sense, they are. Here is what I need you to do as you move into what's coming. Receive it. That's the instruction. Simple and more difficult than it sounds for someone like you who is more practiced at giving than receiving, more comfortable contributing than being contributed to, more fluent in the language of effort than in the language of arrival. Receive it without shrinking, without immediately redirecting to what still needs to be done, without deflecting the compliment, minimizing the opportunity, or finding the caveat in the blessing. When the conversation comes, and it is coming, stay in it. Don't make it easier for the other person by giving them an exit before they've fully said what they came to say. Let them finish. Let the words land completely. Let yourself be moved by them if you are moved. When the door opens, and it is opening, walk through it without stopping at the threshold to compile a list of reasons you might not deserve to be on the other side. You spent a long time giving, Virgo. showing up, contributing, being the steady, reliable, quietly extraordinary presence in situations that did not always return the favor. You held things together that would have fallen apart without you and received very little acknowledgement for doing so. This is the return. This is the universe not forgetting what you put in. This is the receipt being honored, the investment being returned, the faithfulness being met with evidence that it was not wasted. The person who made that admission, they were just the first one brave enough to say what others have been thinking. They will not be the last. Come back and tell me in the comments what this brought up for you. Tell me who came to mind the moment I started describing the King of Cups. Tell me if something shifted in your chest while you were watching. Tell me what the admission was if you already know. Because those comments, those moments of recognition, those confirmations from real people watching in real time as the truth about them finally surfaces, that is what this work is for. You are more seen than you know, Virgo. And now, finally, the people who see you are starting to say so out loud.